agree with Alan Greenspan, we ought to just eliminate the debt ceiling. Oh, absolutely, we do.
The ability of almost every working American to access more credit than they should have been able to masked the underlying fact that lower and middle class incomes were not rising.
That's not a tenable strategy. Isn't now the time to eliminate it? Oh, we've been a long time ago to eliminate it.
Let's put aside terrorism. Let's talk only about our own homegrown animals that are patrolling America right now. So it goes down to the simplest thing. Be prepared, be vigilant.
Do that again.
The new fascists. The new fascist soldiers in America. Now, you thought, being the silly person that you are, you thought that, oh, the new fascists will come. They'll come draped in cloaks carrying Bibles. Right? They'll be carrying Bibles and crosses. They'll come draped in the American flag. The new fascists will come direct from the Tea Party. And they'll be racist, and they'll be authoritarian, and they'll be white. Because these are the things, the characteristics that the sort of the progressive side of things concern themselves with. And of course, they thought that the new fascists would come sort of in the way that they've been trying to portray the Tea Party. Tea Party's dead now. You don't hear about it ever anymore. But the new fascists look nothing and act nothing and seem nothing like people from the Tea Party. Funny as it is, funny the way history writes itself, we find the new fascists to be the ones that taught us about sensitivity. The new fascists are the ones that taught us about diversity. The new fascists are the ones that taught us about political correctness. They taught us these things. And rather than just enlightening us and allowing us to make our own decisions, they've now created a world where they use the fascia or the stick to punish those who follow their law. The new fascists. The new fascists. The Black Lives Matter movement. The new fascists. The new fascists. The Hillary Clinton supporters. The terrifying groups of youngsters that if you're unlucky enough to get caught in one of their mobs, you're probably going to face some sort of violence based on your differing opinion. And that's the rub, the differing opinion. Right? This progressive movement, this diversity-driven movement, who told us all along that it's about diversity and it's about cultural sensitivity. They don't want to hear it. If it goes against their diocese, their doxy, then they don't want to hear it. And that's the new fascia. The new fascisti, if you will. The new fascisti here in America. Right? Ready with the truncheon for all those who disagree. All those who dare ask the questions that are not allowed to be asked. I heard an incredible quote from a Muslim woman who is currently in a real war, fighting a real cultural issue. You know, not one like where do we go to the bathroom or whatever the ailment of the day is. Who should get cast to play Mulan in Disney's live-action reincarnation of the story? But someone who's facing real life and death cultural issues. She said, how did she word it? It was an incredible line. It was something along the lines of, we should be able to attack, or what is it? Anything we're not allowed to attack, any opinion, any religion, any belief system that we're not allowed to attack or question. It simply handcuffs us, right? It controls us, is the way she put it. It controls us. So any system or governing body, anything in society that we're not allowed to question or attack, acts as chains, right? It acts as chains. It limits our freedom. It limits our freedom, and it creates control over people. And if you can't look at this progressive movement, right, with all their different segmentations, all their different minority groups, all these different groups that need special this and that, and all these groups that have these issues that no one's allowed to talk about, no one's allowed to speak about. And this is all races, this is all genders, this is a movement that is a diverse movement. But they have just completely executed an amazing stranglehold on the profession of being outraged. They have created a professional outrage machine that doesn't allow questions. It doesn't allow questions about women. It doesn't allow questions about certain things. It doesn't allow questions about you name it. You cannot question the motivations of certain people, certain races, certain religions. And if you do, well, then you get the fascia. Right? The new fascists. They've laid out what's okay to talk about and what's not. And God help you if you go outside of the lines in today's world. Right? God help you if you were to walk into work today and if you worked at a liberal office somewhere and told your boss, I'm voting for Trump, and wore your Trump shirt in on a Friday, your Trump hat, whatever it is. Let's say you're an outstanding Donald Trump supporter, if that's your position. I'm still kind of not really understanding how you could be over the top supportive of the guy, because he's a gamble at best. But that said, let's say you are. Think about the fascists and what they would say to you. Think about the fascists. So I'm into this topic today. I'm into this topic of the new fascists, the new fascism in America in 2016. Because what's intriguing to me, there was a movie called V for Vendetta. It's a good movie. Really, I love it. It's a great movie. And the fascists in that movie were sort of like the ones that everybody wanted to be the next round of fascists, the Hitler-esque, but a little different, driven by nationalism, driven by religion, right? Driven by strong conservative values, right? These mean and nasty conservatives that tell us mean, honest things. I mean, for the most part, you can count on honesty and rationality from a conservative. You can't really say the same thing about our friends on the other side. So I think it's funny that we look into the world now. Back then, that movie, I don't know, that movie might be 10 years old now. We look at it now, and what do we see? Okay, we see this sort of manifestation of a conservative, religious, nationalistic leader who is setting curfews and abusing people and taking advantage of the power that he has, accusing people of terrorism, accusing people of this and that. And then you look to see what? Well, it's almost the exact opposite is reality. The people who told us we needed our cultural diversity training, the people who told us that we needed to be sensitive, they're the ones who are bashing people for liking Trump. And I mean physically. I watched a sort of a hack job video the other day. It wasn't a great video, but I'm sure there's many more out there like it, where a Trump supporter was physically assaulted. Just hanging out in the wrong group. And he was instigating a little bit, don't get me wrong. There was definitely some instigation there. But I've been to rallies, right? I've been to Tea Party rallies and things like that. I know the difference. The potential for violence in this new fascistic leaning is much greater. than it ever was in the Tea Party, that it ever will be in a good, rational person's mind. But these are the new fascists, folks. Don't talk about what they don't want you to talk about. Don't question what they have already deemed to be reality. There's no way you can question what their authority is. This is a fascist. And I just want you to wrap your head around that thought, because I'm going to talk about food fascism next. Oh, yes, next we're going to get into the fascists of the food world. The fascists of the food world who are giving people aneurysms over worrying about what they eat every day. And I want to get into that too.
Watching as you ignore science, as you ignore the experts, as you ignore the fact that this ban has not worked anywhere in the world, but you know better.
En conclusion?
I'm not finished,
Oh,
thank you.
sorry. No,
Except
no,
that
I'm-
how
no, no, no.
peculiar, no, I'm not finished, I'm allowed. How peculiar that in
s'il
July...
vous plaît. Madame Doucet,
S'il vous plaît. Please.
Hold on.
Now the big man really gets to it.
Cut the mic. Cut the mic.
What a weakling. What an embarrassment. What an embarrassment. But this speaks again to the fascism. This was Mayor Dingbat in Montreal, who silenced one of his citizens, first of all. You've got an irate woman who knows that this Montreal ban, in case you haven't heard the news, this wonderful mayor of Montreal decided that with the Muslims flowing into his nation, with all the issues that are coming into Canada, Canada is not immune to all of the things that we deal with. He thought the best thing that he could do would be to put a ban on pit bulls and pit bull type dogs that share their characteristics. Controversial pit bull ban. And then when someone gets the gall to question him on the fact, he cuts her mic off. He cuts her mic off and tells her to go sit down like the little sheep that she is. No, ma'am. Quiet. Your rights are not necessarily that important to me. Quiet down. I will speak now. I'm the king. I mean the mayor. The breed-specific legislation is a result of a 37-23 vote. It could take effect as early as October 3rd, according to a spokeswoman for the Montreal SPCA. Under the legislation, all dog breeds with certain body types or square heads could be regarded as a pit bull, including American Pit Bull Terriers, Staffordshire Bull Terriers, American Staffordshire Terriers, which I own, or any mix containing the breeds. Any mix containing the breeds. Do you have any idea? Have you ever been to an SPCA before? Go take a walk through the ASPCA, and I want you to tell me the difference between a pit bull and a mutt. I want you to tell me the difference between a round head and a square head. I want you to tell me the difference between certain body types. Look, this is a big deal to me, and it fits like a beautiful puzzle piece into this show. Why? Because this is, again, we have a country run by this goofball Justin Trudeau. And here is what has become of his nation, right? We're banning dogs based on body type, square heads, anything that could be regarded as a pit bull. Anything that could be regarded as a pit bull. Now, don't dare test my might on this topic. Okay, this is a topic that's very important to me. Because 10 years ago, I went out to the pet store to buy a what the hell was it called? A puggle. I went out to the pet store to buy a puggle for my girlfriend at the time, who's my now wife, Lady Liberty. So Lady Liberty and I went out to this pet store to look for a puggle, and they didn't have any puggles. We couldn't find any. I think it was a puggle or something along those lines. You know what it was? It was a what was it? It was a beagle what were they called? I don't know. It was one of those crazy mixed dogs that were very popular some years ago. And she wanted a dog, I wanted a dog. We always had dogs growing up. And we found that they were hard to find, and the ones we did find were incredibly expensive. So we went to go look at some puppies that in an area in South or mid-South Delaware. Well, really central Delaware, really. And we wound up in a trailer park. And when we knocked on the trailer park door, the barks and the growls and the vicious noise that came from inside that trailer park door, that trailer door rather, we just turned around and we left. We said, okay, well, if the dogs are anything like that dog, I don't want anything to do with anything like that. That sounds like a vicious killer in there. At the time, we were ignorant, like Mayor Dingbat here in Montreal. So we wandered to the local pet store there just up the road. And we saw a group of what was called American Staffordshire Terrier puppies. And we had no idea what that meant. No idea. We knew that there was one boy in the mix. He was the most beautiful little puppy we'd ever seen. And we actually got credit to buy this dog because we were both broke, fresh out of college, living in apartments. And I remember sitting there, we were holding each other. Oh my God, is the credit going to come back? We're young, I might have been 18 at the time, and she was probably, or maybe I was 20 at most. She was 23. And I remember sitting there waiting anxiously. Is this going to go through for us? None of us have credit. We don't have anything to really go off of. And they come back and they tell us the dog is ours. And we picked him up and we took him home. And we named him Baxter. And that dog changed our lives forever. That dog changed our entire outlook on life, period. Let alone our outlook on what it meant to be a pit bull. Right? He changed everything. He changed everything. We walked our dog and we saw parents pick their children up. Our dog was a puppy now. And we saw this incredible distaste and this incredible misunderstanding for a dog that was so full of love, it was amazing. Was so loyal, it was amazing. Was so smart, incredibly smart. As a puppy, he was so smart. He knew where everything in the house was. He knew how to get it. He knew how to manipulate us to get him what he wanted. Baxter was an amazing dog. He still is an amazing dog today. He's actually probably laying on the couch right over in the other room, puffing his chest out with pride. And that was just the beginning for us. That was just the beginning for us. We fell in love with Baxter. We fell in love with the breed. We fell in love with the struggle. The struggle, the misconception, because this breed, one of the things that's most alluring about it is its power and its veracity. Is that the word I'm looking for? Its power and its undying spirit. You're talking about a dog here that won't stop. It'll never stop. It'll run with you. You could run 20 miles with a pit bull. It'll keep running, and then it'll still... It's an amazing creature. It's an amazing creature. And when you have a powerful spirit like that, it can do good and it can do bad. And thanks to rap music and thanks to, the glorification of this dog in the fighting rings, thanks to people like Michael Vick and rappers who have made it sound like this is something cool that we should do with dogs, is have them chew each other alive until they die from shock or worse. That's the stigma now. And for this low-life mayor and his low-life ruler, Justin Trudeau, to be these guys are on the precipice of fighting for gay rights, these rights, women's rights, Muslim rights. And they're fighting the exact same war that they're now waging against. I mean, could you imagine if something like this came out? Well, if a person looks a certain way or has a certain body type or comes from a certain neighborhood, then we should ban them as well. People kill a lot more people than dogs, let's be honest. But the pit bull is an amazing dog. It's the culmination. It's actually an invention. It's a human invention. Right? It was a cross between the English Bulldog and the now extinct White Terrier. Right? It was a dog called the White Terrier. And this dog was created for fighting, yes, definitely. There's no getting around its history. This dog was created for bull baiting and bear fighting and dog fighting. That's what it was created for. They wanted the power of the bulldog. You know, they wanted to keep that strength and keep that power, but they wanted the motor of the terrier. They wanted the motor of the terrier that would never stop no matter what happened. So, I don't know how long ago it was. I think it was 1800s. Probably early to mid 1800s in England, this dog was created. This dog was created. And what you don't know is that when they came to America, pit bulls and pit bull type dogs, if you will. It's very hard to define, by the way. It's nearly impossible to define. Very, very hard. Nearly impossible to define this breed because it's not really a breed that exists. It's a culmination of dogs. You know, most pit bulls have something else in them. But they're called pit bulls because they have big jaws, or they have big heads, or they have big chests, and they're powerful demon dogs. Just when I say demon, I don't mean evil. I mean just powerhouses. You know what I mean? Just an unstoppable force. And that unstoppable force can do good or it can do bad, depending on the owner. So we can't ban a creature based on a shitty owner. And you have to wrap your head around what this ban means to people. First, let's talk what it means to people. Right? It means that your dog, if it bites someone, is no doubt going to be killed. No doubt. Your family dog, I've had my dog for 10 years. He's never bitten anyone. He's had his ears pulled. He's been bitten by other dogs. Baxter has gone through the ringer. All right? We took him to dog parks his whole life. He's been attacked by bees. He's been attacked by other dogs. He's never bitten anyone. We've shown him so much affection his whole life. I don't even know if he knows how to bite with his full potential. I have no idea. But it's how he was brought up. So for people, this means the potential to lose your family dog. The fascism of what dog you can have and what dog you cannot, because we deem, and our experts will deem, right? Our Canadian scientist experts will deem that your dog is a pit bull and it is unfit to live in your home or around other people. Therefore, you have to turn it over, and we're going to kill it. So we're going to take this beautiful short-haired, wet-nosed baby of yours that's laying in your lap peaceful, or maybe he's laying on the floor panting with his big, gigantic tongue. We're going to take him away from you. And we're going to take him in a car, scared to death. Right? All he wants to do is be back home with mom and dad. We're going to put him in a car. We're going to take him to some stinking vet. And we're going to inject him. And he's going to get tired. And then he's going to close his eyes. And then he's going to pass away. And you're going to sit home with a black hole in your heart. Because a weak mayor who can't even handle his constituents without cutting their microphones off decided, I think this is how we save lives in Canada. Now, Mayor Dingbat, get back to me when churches start burning and cars start blowing up and malls are filled with people with semi-automatic rifles. Get back to me, Justin. Get back to me with your little sidekick, Mayor Dingbat. Get back to me and let me know if the Bull Terrier, if the American Staffordshire Terrier was the real threat you should have been worried about. But this is just another example. And what does this do to the pit bull name? Think about that. Right? If we're in the business in this world, in this day and age, of righting the wrongs of the past, which is the only way we can progress. The pit bull through the 90s, sure, synonymous with rap music, synonymous with deadly attacks, synonymous with pit bull fighting rings, synonymous with the worst things in society. In the early 2000s, similar, right? But he started to kick up. Popularity started to rise. People started to take a look at these dogs and understand that they were built for Americans. These dogs were built for the American of today, the person who wants to go out, he wants to get out, he wants to get outside and run and hike and do these things. You can look up a pit bull in early America, you won't believe it. The beautiful photos of kids with pit bulls, the beautiful photos of family portraits, in the 40s probably. Beautiful pit bull dogs sitting there with the family, sitting there with the daughters, sitting there with the babies. It didn't happen. It didn't happen until we started beating them and kicking them and putting them in cages outside for weeks on end. I know of an owner who left their pit bull out in a dog house in the heat for so long that it just cooked. It just cooked and died. Just cooked and died. They couldn't care less about it. So if you want to do something about the problem of mean dogs, you need to do something about the problem of idiot, moron owners. And if you have a dog, maybe the real rule to put in place is let's bring them in the vet once a year. Let's do a mandatory vet visit once a year. If you can't afford a mandatory vet visit once a year, then you don't need a dog to begin with. If you can't take your dog to the vet one time a year to make sure it doesn't have a tumor growing out of its eyeball, or it doesn't have something that's going to potentially spread to you or your family, then you don't need a dog. So we bring him to the vet once a year. This madness, this fascist insanity that is covered up by the idea that we're diverse and we're culturally sensitive and sound and we want inclusion. Well, Justin, thank you very much for furthering my point about the fascism of the progressives. Because it's back. The fascism is here. We want your pets. We want your food. We want your rights. We want your speech. We want it all, and we want to make sure that it fits within our little mold. And if it doesn't fit within our mold, then heaven help you, my friend. Then heaven help you. You will be rained down upon by our Twitter followers, by our little minions. We will threaten your job. We will threaten your family. We may even physically harm you. Because that's the Gestapo, right? That's the SS. That's what it is. It's a whole social media community of little SS troops, little shock troops. Little shock troops running the internet, telling people what they should and shouldn't do, and they're backed by these insane leaders who feed you the line that they are so forgiving and they are so understanding of it's insanity. And this is another piece of that insanity. This is another piece of that progressive fascism that is coming online more and more by the day. When you thought that the mean conservative white guy would be the one who would roll the tanks into your town, you keep letting this happen and you'll see who the real fascist is.
There's a moon out tonight. Let's go strolling. There's a girl in my heart.
Keep your eyes on Matthew. Right? Keep your eyes on Matthew, my East Coast preppers, my East Coast I Am Liberty family. You got to keep eyes on that tropical storm because probably about this time next week, I think we're going to see him. I think we're going to see him rear his ugly head on the East Coast. So you got to be aware of that. That's coming. Get the generators gassed up. You know what I mean? Get prepared for that situation. Batteries and flashlights. Do a once-over check on your first aid kits. Make sure you're ready for that. Now, the other interesting thing is if you're on, around where I live, you've been getting battered with rain. It's not stopping anytime soon. So we have to be very cognizant of flooding and what's possible there. Trees, there's a lot to worry about. But Matthew's going to be the big deal. That's going to be the real deal. That's going to be one of these hurricanes that if it follows the course it's on now, which I think it will, I feel very confident that it's coming for us here on the East Coast. I think it's going to break ground in North Carolina, probably be a Category 3 based on what I'm reading from our local incident command. That's what's coming. And I'd say be prepared for that for sure. They're likening it to Hurricane Hazel that happened 60 years ago. 62 to be exact. They're likening it to Hazel, which was one of the most powerful hurricanes ever to hit North Carolina. That said, be prepared. It could go south. It could hit South Carolina. It could go further north and come in and hit Virginia possibly. We don't know the exact trajectory yet, but my friends on the East Coast, be prepared. Okay, be prepared to be without power for quite a while. Water, do you have water? Drinking water, bathing water, that type of thing. Get your bathtubs filled up. You know the protocols. I hope by now you know the protocols. Or if you're really lucky, go stay with someone who lives further inland and forget about the whole thing. Come back and do damage control later. It's not going to be a pretty thing. But that's the reality, right? That's the real threats. Not the soda. I got soda, right? Buying cheap sodas, bringing them in. I brought them to an event the other day, okay? It was an event where we were serving copious amounts of pulled pork, right? Pork barbecue here. And I said, I don't know if I can do a bottle of water and a pork sandwich. I don't think I can do it. And I said, why for this event we'll bring some cheap sodas. We'll bring some root beer, some limeade, some grape sodas, some orangeade, that type of stuff, and we'll enjoy ourselves, right? Yum, delicious. And I realized not only before I got to the event, but as I was walking through the market itself, that this strange idea about what soda means nowadays. And I'm as guilty of it as the next guy too. I fight with myself and quarrel over a soda. I don't know if you're like that. But I'll sit there and I'll ponder the ramifications of this bottle of Dr. Pepper for about 15 minutes before I either decide that I don't need it or I decide that I must have it. And usually the must have it's based on something other than the fact that I just want it. And of course, it has a little to do with the understanding that there's nothing really that this soda offers you other than pleasure from the sugar and the taste. And there's a part of me that says, you've got to have a strong will. You don't want all this extra sugar. If you didn't see the documentary about sugar that I posted on my website, it's a very good one. It talks about how sugar can create a fatty liver and things like that. But, along with the other health effects that it has, negative health effects. But then I wonder to myself, right, as I'm walking around with these sodas, I start to wonder to myself, what is more damaging? Is it the occasional soda, or is it the stress of pondering whether or not I should have the occasional soda? And it gave myself a laugh, but it also made me think about food fascism in America. It also made me think about food fascism here in America. And this idea that, we are free. Sure, we are free. Sure, we have amendments and rights and all those really great things. But, have you ever been in a room or in an area where you're looked down upon because of your food choices? Or do you remember not too long ago when we had Dr. Jekyll up there in New York? What was his name? Bloomberg? Was it Bloomberg who did the soda deal? Yeah, he was targeting sodas. Right? He was targeting sodas. He didn't want families to be able to buy large 32-ounce sodas. They would be made illegal, in fact. Which was an incredible thing to watch. It was literal food fascism taking over. Right? We're moving in with the strong arm of the law, and we will not allow you to drink your 32-ounce sodas. Under the guise of we're saving your life because we know you're such a fat pig that you'll drink yourself into oblivion. And listen, I know there are some people out there who do that. There are some people out there who can't break away from the sodas. They're fat, they're dying, they're obese, they have diseases, they have diabetes, they're going to kill themselves, they're going blind, they're getting feet cut off, still drinking Coke. But I want to tell you something about those type of people. Okay? There are many different types of people in the world. Most people heed the warning, especially when there are consequences, right? So you go to the doctor, he tells you your blood sugar is high, you have a potential for diabetes. Your average person is going to say, you know what, I've got to do something about that. And they do something about that. And that's how that works. When you see a person who's morbidly obese and still eating and still drinking garbage, all you have to understand, this is not a microcosm of the American public. This is a person who would have found a vice and taken it to the grave no matter what it was, right? So in their case, it was food. But that same type of person, had he not found food, he would have found gambling. Had he not found gambling, he may have found drugs. Had he not found drugs, so on and so forth. You understand? It's not a reflection of the fact that we're unable as a nation to make smart decisions about our own health and our own nutrition. I mean, that's a silly thing. And also, then you look at the other situation. You look at the other situation of, but wait, I'm an American. And even if I want to eat cheeseburgers and drink Coke every day and kill myself, I have the right to do such a thing, don't I? So what you're telling me, in other words, is if I go to California, I can tell the doctor, hey, doc, look, I don't got it in me anymore. I don't want to live. I want you to kill me. Give me the serum. Give me the death serum, whatever it is, and take me off this, shuffle me off this mortal coil, as Shakespeare put it. But what I can't do is eat what I want without the rule of law getting in the way. Do you understand the depravity in that? So the other big thing is as follows, right? We talk about the food fascism and the fact that maybe I want to eat what I want to eat, and maybe I'm an American, and maybe I'm a free, liberty-loving American who wants to do what he wants to do. You know? And if I want to have corned beef hash and egg burgers every day, then that's what I'm going to do because I like the taste of it. And I work and I earn my money and I buy what I want and I eat what I want. That's the nation we've built here. Is it or is it not? Because sometimes I wonder. Now, how does that all get tamed? Now, the best way that you can eliminate that freedom is what? Well, it's an all-encompassing government-run healthcare system. Oh, sure, yes. The wonderful pay-to-play healthcare system that encompasses all of us. And if you don't pay to play, of course you get fined. Now, all of a sudden, it's not so much your right to eat what you want anymore, is it? Because all the heads of this wonderful department have to come out and say is, well, you know, if they didn't drink so much soda and they didn't eat so much fast food, then our healthcare costs wouldn't be so high. Maybe we should regulate just how much people are allowed to eat and how often they're allowed to eat certain foods that would affect our collective healthcare costs. Do you follow me? Do you not know by now that at the end of the day, it's about a man being able to do what he wants to do? It's about a man sitting around the house in his boxers at 11:30 p.m. playing Far Cry Primal, having the urge to just do complete and total damage to his cardiovascular system, and going to Wendy's and getting a Dave's triple with double bacon and a large French fry and a large Diet Dr. Pepper that you know is going to keep you up too long, and you've got a baby in the other room, but you're going to stay up all night and play video games anyway, and FTW, and that's what I'm going to do because I'm a freedom-loving American, and I need a little bit of a pressure valve release here before I lose my mind. And as soon as you let the foot get in the door and the government come in and tell you that rather than that burger that you want, you should satisfy your desires, you know, that's the funny thing, too, when you put it that way. When you put it that way and you know that we live in a world that is so sexually and morally defunct, but we should very much watch temptation and watch our desires for greasy, fatty foods, salty foods, delicious food. Right? We need to curb those temptations, son. The preacher of nutrition. You need to curb those temptations. You need to drink a glass of water twice a day. Well, actually, you need to drink a glass of water twice an hour in that world. You can never be dehydrated. And you need to satisfy your urges with a stalk of celery or perhaps a leaf of kale. And while you eat that leaf of kale, be gracious about the farmer who raised it and the nutrients that are packed within it, rather than enjoy what it is you truly want, what it is you truly worked for, and what you earned. We're going to see more of this stuff. And now, you know me. I'm a guy who eats healthy. I do, by choice. I've always had an affinity for healthy foods. I'm privileged. You got to understand. When it comes to healthy foods, I have an ingrained privilege. It may have something to do with pigmentation. I'm not sure. If I ask your average progressive, they're going to tell me, of course it is. No, but to be honest, I've always loved vegetables. I've always loved fruits. I've always loved whole foods. Love them. I love bread. I know that's illegal now too, but I love eating bread. I love eating pasta. But I've always eaten tons of raw vegetables, just like it. So 90% of what I eat is that. You know what I mean? It's that stuff. That's what I like to eat. Big on canned fishes too. I know you might not like that, but that man, I'll tell you what. If you want to get some pulpo, some canned octopus, that's some good stuff. That's an easy lunch too, by the way. So, I get a lot of nutrients. I eat a lot of good food. I don't need the food fascia, the food fascisti to come to my door and tell me when and where I can eat and what I can eat and how much of it I can eat. And am I allowed to get 2 pieces of cheese or 1? What's my limited calorie intake for the day? Yada, yada, yada. I can handle that. Because I live by an interesting diet. Do you want to know what my diet is? You know, in an age of diets, when everybody believes that we have to be careful what we put in our bodies, right? We have to be careful about all the food we put in our bodies. We shouldn't put too much food in our bodies. I believe a totally different thing. When it comes to a diet, I believe it's all about what we're not putting into our bodies that hurts us. And I can elaborate. So, if you decide to fill your stomach with crap for all 3 of your meals, and then when it comes time for your body to look for the nutrients it needs, you know, nutrients that you would get through fresh vegetables and things like that, I believe that's where we get into trouble, is that we don't leave room for the vegetables. We don't leave room for the nutrients that our body really needs. We don't leave room for those things. We fill up on other things. So for me, a diet is about what you don't put in your body. In other words, I'm not frightened about a cheeseburger from McDonald's. There's no fear there. Other than, you know, the fact that it's probably got ammonia in it and several other cancer-causing agents. But from a nutrition standpoint, I understand that you can have a big steak and a side of kale, you know, or a side of greens cooked down or something along those lines, and have those foods that you like, so long as you include those foods that power your body. So for me, it's not always about what I shouldn't put in my body. It's about what doesn't make it into my body. That's how I view my diet. You know, I ate a bunch of crap today, but guess what? I started the day off with 2 of my free-range eggs and a kombucha tea. Beautiful stuff, right? I know I've got a lot of nutrients in. Me and my son went outside and picked pole beans and ate them up. These raw vegetables and the nutrients within them, that's what you need. That's what you need. If you don't leave room for that stuff, then yeah, your diet's suffering. That's how that goes. But the food police want to clear that up for us all. And I just wanted you to wrap your head around that idea, because it's a frightening thing. You know, the idea that they're going to... And it's filtered into the public. You know, what you don't often see, the worst type of person is a person that wants to instill their way of life on you. Right? They want to push their way of life on you. And they think by doing so, they're doing you a favor. You can say that about conservatives and liberals alike. Right? You can say that about the conservative guy who wants to push God on you when you know that your relationship is fine. Okay, buddy, look, Listen, leave me alone. I have no desire to come to your church Sunday. I don't care if they have a daycare for the kids. Just give me a break, okay? I'm a hardworking man. I'll handle my relationship with God. Stop worrying about whether or not my ass is going to be over embers when I die, okay? Let me deal with my own soul and its end times. That being said, the same goes for the other side. You know, you really shouldn't eat animals. You really shouldn't eat meat. You know, you drink soda. Oh, God, it's garbage. It's going to kill you, as if they've never drank a soda in their whole life. How you doing, ma'am? I'm paying the toll.
Thank you.
Thanks. Paying the toll of life. They suck me dry 1 nickel at a time here in Virginia, I swear. But honestly, when you get cornered in a room by anyone from any political leaning and they want to change you, why do we have that desire as humans? I don't understand it. What's with that desire? We always want to teach and change. Notice? It's all about teaching and changing. I want you to become something better. I'm good. What if I'm just good? What if I'm just cool? What if I'm just happy with who I am? Happy with what I got, what I do, what I say? You know, there does come a point in life, it may not seem like it, especially if you're a younger person or a very insecure person, where you realize who you are and you just have to live with it. You have to live on it, you have to build on it, you have to build off of it, you know what I mean? You take what's good about you and, you use it to the best of your ability, and you take what's terrible about you and you curse it behind closed doors. Maybe you nurse it with a little alcohol every once in a while, or a little something else. That's life. That's life on a whole, but there's always somebody out there. I'll tell you what you need to do. What you need to do is you need to start going to Bikram yoga, okay? Oh, there's always something. You really shouldn't eat that dreck, that red meat. That red meat will kill you. That red meat's gonna kill you. That red meat will put you in the grave. People have been eating animals raw for tens of thousands of years.